There's something subtle and magical about the idea of leaving this world better than we found it. But let me tell you, it doesn't happen by accident. Building a legacy isn't about chasing fame or fortune, it's about serving others. That's right, service. When you pour your energy into helping people grow, succeed, and thrive, you create ripples that last far beyond your lifetime. Let me ask you something. Have you ever met someone who made you feel like you could conquer the world? Maybe they gave you advice when you needed it most, or maybe they simply believed in you when no one else did. Think about how that felt. Now imagine being that person for someone else. Imagine the kind of impact you'd have if every single day you focused on lifting others up instead of just focusing on yourself. Here's the truth: success without significance is empty. You can climb the ladder of achievement, but if you reach the top and realize you've done it alone, what have you really gained? True fulfillment comes from knowing that your life has mattered, that you've made a difference in ways big and small. And the beautiful part is, you don't need money, power, or status to start making that difference. All you need is a heart willing to serve. Think about it like planting seed. When you help someone else succeed, you're not just changing their life, you're planting a seed that grows into something bigger than you could ever imagine. That person might go on to help someone else and then another and another. Before you know it, your act of kindness has multiplied over and over again, touching lives you may never even meet. That's how legacies are built. Not through grand gestures, but through consistent acts of generosity and care. Now, I'm not saying this path is always easy. Serving others often means putting their needs ahead of your own. Sometimes it means sacrificing time, energy, or resources you'd rather keep for yourself. But let me tell you something: if you commit to living a life of service, you'll discover something incredible along the way. Helping others actually helps you. It fills your life with purpose, joy, and meaning. In fact, the more you give, the more you receive, not necessarily in material things, but in relationships, experiences, and inner peace. So how do you start? Simple. Look around you. Who needs encouragement today? Who could use a helping hand? Maybe it's a friend going through a tough time, or a coworker struggling to meet a deadline. Maybe it's someone at the grocery store who looks like they're having a bad day. Start small. A smile, a kind word, an offer to lend a hand. These little things can change someone's entire outlook. And as you practice serving others consistently, you'll find that it becomes second nature. You won't even think twice about doing good because it'll be who you are. Remember, building a legacy isn't about waiting for some perfect moment to arrive. It's about showing up every single day and choosing to make a positive impact, no matter how small. Because when all is said and done, your legacy won't be measured by what you achieved for yourself. It'll be measured by what you gave to others. So go out there and serve. Make a difference, leave footprints that will inspire generations to come. That's how you build a legacy worth remembering. And hey, if this message resonates with you, take a moment to reflect on how you can start serving today, whether it's helping a neighbor, mentoring a young person, or simply spreading kindness wherever you go. You have the power to change the world, one act of service at a time. Let's talk about what happens when you commit to serving others consistently. It's not just about feeling good or ticking off some moral checklist. It's about transformation. When you choose to serve, you begin to see the world differently. You start noticing opportunities where others might only see obstacles. A problem becomes a chance to help. A challenge becomes a way to grow. And every interaction becomes an opportunity to make someone's day brighter. This shift in perspective doesn't just benefit those around you, it changes you. Over time, you become more patient, more empathetic, and more resilient. You learn to lead with your heart instead than your ego, and that makes all the difference. Have you ever noticed how people who serve others seem to carry themselves differently? They walk with purpose, they speak with kindness, and they radiate a quiet confidence. That's because serving others gives you clarity about your own life. When you focus less on what you lack and more on what you can give, you stop comparing yourself to others. You realize that true success isn't about having more, it's about giving more. And that realization frees you from so many of the insecurities and distractions that hold most people back. Think about the people you admire most, the ones you'd call heroes. Chances are they didn't earn your admiration because of their wealth or status. No, they earned it because of the impact they had on others. Maybe they stood up for justice, maybe they helped the vulnerable, or maybe they simply showed up when no one else would. Whatever it was, their actions spoke louder than their words. That's the power of service. It speaks directly to the soul, both yours and the souls of those you touch. Now let's get practical for a moment. Serving others doesn't mean you have to quit your job, move to another country, or dedicate your entire life to charity work. Though if that's your calling, go for it. Service starts right where you are, with what you already have. Look at your skills, talents, and resources. How can you use them to make someone's life better? If you're great at teaching, offer to tutor a struggling student. If you're handy with tools, help a neighbor fix something around their house. If you're a good listener, be there for a friend who needs someone to talk to. The possibilities are endless, and none of them require you to be extraordinary, just willing. One of the most powerful forms of service is mentorship. There's nothing quite like the feeling of guiding someone younger or less experienced than you. Whether it's sharing advice, offering encouragement, or simply being a role model, mentoring allows you to pass down wisdom and experience in a way that creates lasting change. And here's the best part: you don't need to be perfect to be a mentor. In fact, admitting your mistakes and showing how you overcame them can be one of the greatest gifts you give. Vulnerability inspires trust, and trust builds connection. So don't wait until you think you're ready to mentor someone. Start now, wherever you are. Another beautiful aspect of service is that it connects us to something bigger than ourselves. We live in a world that often feels divided, politically, socially, culturally, but acts of kindness remind us of our shared humanity. When you help someone, you break down barriers. You show them that despite our differences, we're all in this together. And that sense of unity is exactly what the world needs more of right now. Imagine if everyone committed to doing one small act of service every day. Just imagine the ripple effect. It wouldn't take long before we started seeing real change, not just in individual lives, but in communities, nations, and even the world. But here's the thing: service isn't always glamorous. Sometimes it means rolling up your sleeves and doing the hard, unglamorous work that no one else wants to do. It might mean cleaning up a park, volunteering at a shelter, or spending hours helping someone navigate a difficult situation. These tasks may not win you awards or recognition, but they matter. They matter deeply, because while the spotlight may shine elsewhere, the real magic happens in the quiet moments, the moments when you choose to show up, even when no one is watching. And let's be honest, serving others isn't always easy. There will be days when you feel tired, overwhelmed, or unsure of whether your efforts are making a difference. On those days, I want you to remember this: progress is rarely linear. Change takes time, and sometimes the seeds you plant won't bear fruit immediately. But that doesn't mean they aren't growing. Trust the process. Keep showing up, keep giving, and keep believing that your efforts are creating waves of positivity that will eventually reach farther than you can see. Speaking of belief, let's talk about mindset for a moment. Your attitude plays a huge role in how effectively you serve others. If you approach service with resentment or obligation, it loses its power. But when you serve with joy, gratitude, and humility, it transforms both you and the person you're helping. So, how do you cultivate the right mindset? Start by focusing on the positives. Instead of thinking, I have to help, reframe it as, I get to help. Shift your perspective from duty to privilege. After all, the ability to make a difference is a gift. Not everyone has the opportunity to do so. Another important piece of the puzzle is self-awareness. To serve others well, you first need to understand yourself. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Where do you excel and where do you struggle? Knowing these things helps you identify how you can best contribute. For example, if you're naturally organized, you might thrive in coordinating community projects. If you're empathetic, you might shine in roles that involve emotional support. Understanding your unique gifts allows you to serve in a way that feels authentic and fulfilling. Of course, serving others also requires boundary. It's easy to fall into the trap of giving so much of yourself that you end up burned out. And let's face it, when you're exhausted, you can't serve anyone effectively. That's why it's crucial to set limits and prioritize self-care. Take care of your physical, mental, and emotional health. Rest when you need to rest, recharge when you need to recharge, and don't feel guilty about it. Remember, taking care of yourself isn't selfish, it's necessary. You can't pour from an empty cup. Now let's zoom out for a moment and consider the bigger picture. Legacy isn't just about what you leave behind. It's about the values you embody and the example you set. Every action you take sends a message to the people around you. Are you modeling kindness, compassion, and integrity? Or are you prioritizing convenience, comfort, and short-term gain? The choices you make today shape the legacy you build tomorrow. So ask yourself, what kind of example do you want to set? What values do you want to pass on? Here's a thought experiment for you. Picture yourself 20 years from now. How do you want people to describe you? Do you want them to say, they were successful? Or do you want them to say, they made a difference? Success fades, but impact endures. If you focus on serving others, you'll naturally attract success as a byproduct. Why? Because people gravitate toward those who genuinely care. They trust them, respect them, and want to support them, and that opens doors you never even knew existed. Let's talk about teamwork for a moment. While individual acts of service are powerful, there's something special about coming together as a group to make a difference. When people unite around a common cause, incredible things happen. Projects that once seemed impossible suddenly become achievable. Strangers become friends, and communities become families. Group efforts amplify the impact of service, proving that we truly are stronger together. So if you haven't already, find a cause or organization that aligns with your values and get involved. Not only will you be contributing to something meaningful, but you'll also meet amazing people along the way. One of the most overlooked benefits of service is the way it combats loneliness. In a world where so many people feel disconnected, serving others creates bonds that transcend superficial interactions. Whether it's working side by side with volunteers, supporting someone through a tough time, or simply striking up a conversation with a stranger, service brings people close, and in doing so, it reminds us that we're never truly alone. We're part of something greater, a web of interconnected lives, each one influencing the next. Let's circle back to the idea of consistency for a moment. Building a legacy through service isn't about grand gestures or dramatic displays. It's about showing up day after day, week after week, year after year. It's about choosing to be a light in the darkness, even when it feels like no one is paying attention. Those small, consistent actions add up over time. They create a foundation of trust, reliability, and love that stands the test of time. So don't underestimate the power of persistence. Keep going, even when it feels like you're not making a difference. Because trust me, there's a quote I love. It goes something like this: the footprint you leave is determined by the shoes you wear. Think about that for a second. What kind of shoes are you wearing as you walk through life? Are they worn out sneakers, scuffed in neglect, or are they sturdy boots, ready to tackle whatever terrain lies ahead? The shoes you choose represent the values you live by, the principles that guide your decisions and actions, and those principles ultimately shape the mark you leave on the world. Let's talk about failure for a moment. Yes, failure, because let's face it, no matter how noble your intentions, you won't always get it right. There will be times when your efforts fall flat, when people misunderstand your motives, or when circumstances beyond your control derail your plans. And that's okay. Failure is not the opposite of success, it's part of the journey. What matters is how you respond. Do you let setbacks discourage you? Or do you use them as fuel to keep moving forward? Resilience is key to building a legacy of service. Without it, you'll never make it past the first hurdle. So, how do you stay resilient? One word: perspective. Remind yourself why you started serving in the first place. Revisit the moments when your actions made a difference, however small. Surround yourself with people who uplift and encourage you. And above all, practice gratitude. Gratitude shifts your focus from what's going wrong to what's going right, helping you maintain a positive outlook, even during tough times. When you're grateful, you're unstoppable. Let's talk about gratitude for a minute. Did you know that practicing gratitude actually rewires your brain? Studies show that regularly expressing thanks boosts happiness, reduces stress, and improves overall well-being. But gratitude isn't just good for you, it's contagious. When you express appreciation for the people and experiences in your life, you inspire others to do the same. And that creates a cycle of positivity that spreads far and wide. So make gratitude a habit. Thank the people who help you. Acknowledge the blessings in your life and celebrate the little victories along the way. Another important aspect of service is adaptability. The world is constantly changing, and the needs of those around you will evolve too. What worked yesterday might not work tomorrow. That's why it's essential to stay flexible and open-minded. Be willing to try new approaches, embrace new ideas, and pivot when necessary. Adaptability ensures that your service remains relevant and effective, no matter what challenges arise. Let's talk about courage for a moment. Serving others often requires stepping outside your comfort zone. It might mean having difficult conversations, taking risks, or facing fears you'd rather avoid. But here's the thing: courage isn't the absence of fear, it's the decision to act in spite of it. Every time you push past your fears to help someone else, you grow stronger. You prove to yourself that you're capable of more than you thought possible, and that newfound strength empowers you to serve even more boldly in the future. Now let's address a common misconception about service: that it's only for certain types of people. Some folks think you have to be wealthy, educated, or highly skilled to make a meaningful contribution, but that couldn't be further from the truth. Service is universal. Anyone can do it, regardless of age, background, or circumstance. All it takes is a willingness to give, to share your time, energy, or resources with someone in need. So don't let self-doubt hold you back. You have everything you need to start serving today. Let's talk about intentionality for a moment. Serving others works best when it's done with thoughtfulness and care. It's not enough to throw money at a problem or offer generic advice. True service requires understanding the specific needs of the person or community you're trying to help. Ask questions, listen actively, pay attention to details. When you approach service with intentionality, your efforts become exponentially more impactful. Finally, let's talk about joy. Service shouldn't feel like a chore. It should bring you joy. Sure, there will be challenging moments, but at its core, serving others is one of the most fulfilling experiences you can have. It reminds you of your purpose, connects you to others, and fills your life with meaning. So lean into the joy of service. Let it fuel your passion, drive your actions, and sustain your commitment. Because when you serve with joy, you inspire others to do the same.
Let's take a moment to reflect on the ripple effect of kindness. Have you ever noticed how one small act of generosity can set off a chain reaction? Maybe you hold the door open for someone and they smile. That smile brightens their mood. So they decide to pay it forward by helping a coworker or complimenting a stranger. Before you know it, your simple gesture has inspired multiple acts of goodwill, all because you chose to be kind in that single moment. This is the power of service. It multiplies exponentially, creating waves of positivity that touch lives far beyond your immediate reach. Now let's talk about something we don't often discuss: the role of humility in service. Serving others requires us to put aside our egos and focus on what truly matters: the needs of those around us. It's not about proving how great we are or seeking validation for our effort. In fact, some of the most impactful acts of service happen quietly, without fanfare or recognition. Humility allows us to approach others with an open heart, free from judgment or expectation. When you serve humbly, people feel seen and valued, not pitied or judged. And that makes all the difference. Here's another way to think about it: serving others isn't about fixing them, it's about empowering them. Too often we fall into the trap of thinking we have all the answers, or assuming that someone else's problem is ours to solve. But the truth is, everyone has their own journey, their own struggles, and their own strengths. Your job isn't to fix anyone, it's to support them as they find their own solutions. Offer guidance, encouragement, and resources, but let them take ownership of their empowerment builds confidence and independence, which are gifts that last a lifetime. Let's shift gears for a moment and talk about the importance of listening. If there's one skill that underpins effective service, it's the ability to truly listen, not just hearing words, but paying attention to emotions, body language, and unspoken needs. Listening shows respect. It communicates that you value someone enough to give them your full attention. And when people feel heard, they're more likely to open up, trust you, and accept your help. So next time you're interacting with someone who needs support, resist the urge to jump straight into advice giving mode. Take a step back, ask thoughtful questions, and simply listen. You might be surprised at how much of an impact that alone can make. Speaking of connection, let's explore the idea of empathy. Empathy is the bridge that allows us to step into someone else's shoes and understand their perspective. It's what enables us to serve authentically and meaningfully. Without empathy, service risks becoming transactional, a series of actions performed out of obligation rather than genuine care. But when you lead with empathy, you create deep, lasting bonds. You show people that they matter, that their feelings are valid, and that they're not alone. And that's where real change begins. Now let's talk about consisting again, but this time, let's frame it slightly differently. Building a legacy through service is like planting a garden. You wouldn't plant seeds one day and expect flowers to bloom the next. It takes patience, dedication, and nurturing over time. Similarly, serving others consistently, showing up day after day, even when it feels like you're not making progress, is what ultimately yields results. Those tiny, seemingly insignificant actions add up. They lay the groundwork for transformation, both in the lives of others and within yourself. So keep watering those seeds, knowing that growth may take time, but it will come. Let's dive deeper into the concept of selflessness. At its core, serving others means putting their needs ahead of your own, at least temporarily. This doesn't mean neglecting yourself or ignoring your own boundaries. It simply means being willing to prioritize someone else's well-being for a moment. It could be as simple as letting someone cut in front of you in line, offering your seat to someone who needs it more, or spending a few extra minutes helping a colleague finish a project. These small sacrifices may seem minor, but they carry immense weight. They demonstrate that you see others' humanity and value it above your convenience. But here's the beautiful paradox: when you practice selflessness, you actually benefit too. Studies show that helping others boosts mental health, increases happiness, and even improves physical well-being. Why? Because giving activates the reward centers in our brains, releasing chemicals like dopamine and oxytocin that make us feel good. So while the primary goal of service should always be to uplift others, don't underestimate the positive effects it has on you as well. It's a win-win situation. Let's pause for a second and acknowledge the fear that sometimes holds us back from serving others. Fear of rejection, fear of failure, fear of not doing enough. These fears are natural, but they shouldn't stop us. Think about it. Every great leader, every change maker, every person who's made a lasting impact started somewhere, and they probably felt scared at first too. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's the decision to move forward despite it. So if fear is holding you back, remind yourself why you want to serve in the first place. Focus on the potential impact you can have, and let that fuel your courage. Another key ingredient in effective service is creativity. Sometimes solving problems or meeting needs requires thinking outside the box. For example, maybe traditional methods aren't working, or perhaps the resources you thought you had aren't available anymore. Instead of giving up, challenge yourself to innovate, brainstorm new ideas, collaborate with others, and experiment until you find a solution that works. Creativity keeps service dynamic and adaptable, ensuring that you stay relevant and effective, no matter the circumstance. Let's talk about teamwork once again, but this time, let's emphasize collaboration. While individual acts of service are powerful, joining forces with others amplifies your impact exponentially. Imagine trying to clean up a polluted beach by yourself versus organizing a group of volunteers. The collective effort achieves far more than any one person could alone. Collaboration also fosters camaraderie, strengthens relationships, and creates a sense of shared purpose. So if you haven't already, find ways to partner with others in your service endeavors. Together you'll accomplish incredible things. Now let's address a common obstacle: burnout. Even the most passionate and dedicated individuals can experience exhaustion when they pour too much of themselves into serving others. That's why it's crucial to practice balance. Set realistic goals, pace yourself, and recognize your limits. Don't hesitate to delegate tasks or ask for help when needed. Remember, taking breaks and prioritizing your own well-being isn't selfish, it's smart. A rested, healthy version of you will always serve better than a depleted one. Let's explore the idea of lifelong learning through service. Every time you help someone, you learn something new about them, about yourself, and about the world. You gain insights into different perspectives, cultures, and experience. This continuous learning enriches your life, broadens your horizons, and equips you to serve even more effectively in the future. Approach service with curiosity and a willingness to grow. Stay open to feedback, embrace challenges as opportunities, and never stop seeking knowledge. Growth is a cornerstone of building a meaningful legacy. Here's a thought-provoking question. What does success look like to you? Is it wealth, fame, or accolades? Or is it the knowledge that you've made a positive difference in the world? Many people chase external markers of success, only to realize later that they're hollow without deeper fulfillment. True success comes from aligning your actions with your values, from living a life of purpose and contribution, and service is one of the surest paths to achieving that alignment. So redefine success on your terms, and let service guide you toward it. Let's revisit the topic of gratitude, but this time, let's connect it to resilience. Gratitude is more than just saying thank you. It's a mindset, a way of seeing the world through a lens of abundance rather than scarcity. When you cultivate gratitude, you train your brain to focus on what's going right instead of obsessing over what's wrong. This shift in perspective, builds emotional resilience, enabling you to bounce back faster from setbacks during tough times. Gratitude reminds you of your blessings, giving you strength to persevere, and when combined with service, it creates a virtuous cycle of positivity. Let's talk about leadership for a moment. Contrary to popular belief, leadership isn't about authority or control. It's about influence. The best leaders inspire others through their actions, not their titles. And one of the most powerful ways to lead is by serving. When you prioritize the needs of your team, community, or family, you earn their trust and loyalty. They follow you not because they have to, but because they want to. Servant leadership creates environments where people thrive, innovate, and collaborate. If you aspire to lead, start by serving. Now let's consider the long-term view. Building a legacy through service isn't just about what happens today. It's about laying the foundation for tomorrow. Every act of kindness, every moment of support contributes to a brighter future. Whether it's mentoring a young person who grows up to become a leader, volunteering for a cause that sparks widespread change, or simply spreading joy in your neighborhood, your efforts today shape the world of tomorrow. Keep that vision in mind as you serve, knowing that your contributions matter more than you may ever fully realize. Let's talk about authenticity. People can tell when you're being genuine versus when you're faking it. Authenticity builds trust, which is essential for meaningful service. Show up as yourself, flaws and all. Admit when you don't know something. Ask for help when you need it. Vulnerability humanizes you and makes your service relatable. People connect with sincerity, not perfection. So don't try to be someone you're not. Just be the best version of yourself, and let that shine through in everything you do. Let's delve into the concept of forgiveness. Serving others sometimes means encountering difficult personalities or navigating challenging situations. There will be moments when people disappoint you, misunderstand you, or even hurt you. Holding on to resentment only weighs you down and hinders your ability to serve effectively. Forgiveness frees you from that burden, allowing you to move forward with grace and compassion. It doesn't mean condoning harmful behavior. It simply means releasing the negative emotions tied to it. Choose forgiveness and watch how it transforms your service. Now let's highlight the importance of celebrating progress. It's easy to get caught up in the pursuit of big goals and overlook the smaller victories along the way, but every step forward deserves recognition. Did you help someone feel less alone? Celebrate that. Did you complete a project that benefited your community? Celebrate that. Acknowledging progress, not just outcomes, keeps you motivated and reminds you of the value of your efforts. Plus, celebration spreads positivity, inspiring others to join in the work.
Let's talk about adaptability again, but this time let's tie it to innovation. The world is constantly evolving, and so are the needs of those around you. To serve effectively, you must remain flexible and open to change. Embrace technology, explore new methodologies, and stay informed about emerging trends. Innovation ensures that your service remains relevant and impactful. Don't be afraid to experiment or pivot when necessary. Adaptability is the key to staying ahead of the curve and continuing to make a difference. Finally, let's circle back to the idea of joy. Service should bring you joy, not stress or resentment. Yes, there will be challenges, but at its core, serving others is one of the most fulfilling experiences you can have. It reminds you of your purpose, connects you to humanity, and fills your life with meaning. So lean into the joy of service. Let it fuel your passion, drive your actions, and sustain your commitment. Because when you serve with joy, you inspire others to do the same. In the end, remember this: Building a legacy through service isn't about grand gestures or seeking recognition. It's about showing up consistently with humility and heart. Every act of kindness, no matter how small, creates ripples that extend far beyond what you can see. When you serve others, you transform not only their lives, but also your own. You find purpose, joy, and fulfillment in ways that money or fame could never provide. So take that first step today, whether it's a smile, a helping hand, or a commitment to mentor someone, and watch as your efforts multiply into something extraordinary. Together, let's leave this world better than we found it. Serve with joy, live with intention, and inspire generations to come.